think it's
I guess it doesn't matter now.
But I really like Mammoth Fortress. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just like Mammoth Fortress.
I'm with it. But your opinions don't matter anymore. We're in game now. Using Fiend versus Hysen and simpLe. Who's going to win it out?
If my opinions didn't matter, I wouldn't be on the mic, so you're wrong.
Oh,
but either way,
no!
we are getting into Apocalypse here, and this is going to be very interesting. Look at these gauntlets. Oh, no, those aren't the gauntlets. Those are the guitars. Excuse me. Guitars, this is the first time we're seeing this today. Look at they're weird, huh?
What?
Oh, are they
I
fans?
love them. They're fans.
It's because you're on the Asuka skin. Asuka has fans. It's wrestling. You got to be a wrestling fan to understand.
I'm not a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I am. So don't worry about it.
Okay, you can give us all the wrestling lore. I'm not too sure about it, but the lore I can tell you is that everyone's so unbelievably lit. Now, here's something interesting, right? Hattori, not so much defense. Val and Barraza, a lot of defense. And that small amount of markings can make the world of a difference here when it comes to 2v2s. Again, at BCX of all places. But Hughes is off stage, and suddenly in the air, Hysen goes down.
And there was that one of the moments with Barraza, you talked about the high defense, and they saw them both fly all the way up there, but only one of them survived. I wonder how that worked out. But the double KO coming out here, does not matter how much defense you have. Eventually, everyone falls if you're red enough.
And it's funny that you mentioned that. The character with the lowest defense is the only survivor on their last stock.
Hey, sometimes when you play those sets of characters, you got to be a little bit more elusive in order to, stay alive. So it makes sense. The lighter the character, you got to be a bit more careful.
Yeah. Just kind of moving around, making sure you're all good. And even then, simpLe goes so high up into the air and manages to survive, just baiting off stage, trying to find some more impact. Fiend is falling for a hook line and, well, at some point a sinker, but not quite just yet. But look at that damage. So unbelievably lit for everybody but simpLe.
You really got to hand it to simpLe, though. I mean, they just lost their first stock there as we're almost getting to the 2-minute mark. So, honestly, fantastic stuff. But as we can see, a couple flying around, but we got you staying alive a little bit longer and taking one in the process. No, okay, we do see Hysen find a way back, and man, that was a little bit terrifying, but they had the resources to be able to get there.
When Hughes is playing a dangerous game, simpLe's been so good about leaving these players off stage and trying to find their way to tear down to the below, the blast zone of all things. Hysen, though, is playing a different game. Golden gauntlets in hand, far off stage, needs to find their way back. A simple recovery brings them back onto the stage, but at what it costs, it's a simple Sarah to make them do the same process again.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Every day is the same for me. If that's what
Groundhog Day.
That's what Hysen is saying to themselves right now. But you don't have to worry about recovering that time because you're going straight to the top and going into your final stock scenario here. But the red team is looking pretty good. I mean, the way that simpLe is kind of staying alive here, getting some big damage in the process as well, they're looking pretty here.
I'm a big fan of simpLe spacing here in this match. Just being able to go in for calculated hits and just back away immediately, ensuring not to take that much damage. These ground pounds, spectacular spacing that promote Hysen to maybe find another stock.
And simpLe, okay, now has a sword here. Finding a way to close out Fiend, and now we got a 2-1 scenario. And look at that, man. Also just seeing the fact that they were dominating at one point before being shut down. But a 2v1, this is going to be tough. Hysen going to be taking the backseat here a little bit. That was almost insane.
That was so close, millimeters off.
Okay. And, all right, staying alive here a little bit longer. Trying to get down. Okay, the blasters putting on a little bit of damage. I feel like we don't see blasters enough anymore, but we're going to see how Hughes can try to find a way to keep it going. Does he have the resources to be able to make it back? Does get onto the stage, but not for much longer here as simpLe closes it out, dropping the ladder right on top of their head.
Easily MVP of that match was simpLe.
Oh,
easily. Easily. Just again, the space, making it look simple. I see what you're doing. But I mean, the spacing control, the way of racking up damage, and my favorite part, promoting more favorable positions for Hysen to find that final stock to take down Fiend and use. Such a good way of having that chemistry that might not necessarily be visible to anybody else. It's between themselves. Sure, maybe they won't have as many combos as we had seen from, say, I don't know, Luna, Pugsy, or other teams, but just being able to have those favorable spots to allow Hysen to find that victory counter, unbelievable. And that's much harder for a team like Hughes and Fiend to adapt around.
Look at simpLe stats, man. Look at that damage. That is 600 damage, almost 600 damage.
Unbelievable.
Oh, that is a lot. That is a lot to be putting down there. And you compare that on the other side to Fiend. I'm not trying to, point Fiend out or make fun, but I mean, you did basically almost doubled their damage.
Yeah.
Just as one player across the board. You can't be having those types of scenarios happening. But as we get into Lion's Ear, we'll see how things play out. And right now, you know, I mean, obviously we just got started, so no one's going to have the immediate lead. But with the way that hysen and simpLe played, you know they got that little bit of momentum right behind them.
And I mean, there was an early weapon lead by, you know, roughly 10 seconds. An early weapon lead there does help out quite a bit. I love the way hysen and simpLe, once again, are kind of just taking over the entirety of the stage. One on the ground, one towards the edge, trying to really kind of lead. I almost want to say like sheep for blue team, just ensure victory. That being said though, blue team, they are much better in terms of damage. They're playing with each other much more. They're looking for that damage output and trying to promote each other's positions once again. Doesn't mean it's necessarily that easy though. Yeah. Everyone's holding that ground to control. Individual fights, these are the gigantic groups, and suddenly hysen's up into the air, nearly taken down early.
And there we go, simpLe staying alive though. Got that spear in hand and used, trying to find a way to keep them separated, but you guys still got to help out your teammate because hysen was just juggling Asuka this entire time. But we do see Brawlhalla close out the first one, simpLe losing the first stock, and that's crazy to think about because simpLe was the last one to lose their first stock last time, almost going a full 2 minutes in that position.
Wow, it's a long time. But that being said, though, look at Fiend. Okay, maybe don't look at Fiend. Don't look at Fiend right now. Yuz, though, is holding the fort so well and goes in deep. That weapon throw completely just saved Yuz's stock, shutting down hysen by a single frame. And now Yuz still being able to survive, sends simpLe high up into the sky. If simpLe goes down, that's a single stock left.
Okay, and it's definitely looking very tough for simpLe, especially with Yuz. I mean, this is what we expected last time. Yuz lost the first stock last time, if I remember correctly, and they're the last one living here, and this is what we were expecting more because of the defense, the heavy defense here. But, oh, Flying Out finally gets a way to even it up here, and they are finding a way to put this damage on the Fiend, kind of really keep them juggled. And wow, I don't know how that happened exactly, but you know what? We take those.
Yeah, you absolutely have to take those if you're simpLe and hysen right now. Just being able to lay the land once again, try to control Yuz a little bit more, have that conditioning factor of being sure, like, okay, you're not going to get back on the stage. We know how you operate, Brawlhalla. You operate a lot with that ground control and then sending people into the anti-air off the blast zones. We're not going to let that happen, and we're going to take those individual fights. Suddenly, though, simpLe was so high into the air, hysen as well. A single signature could take either of them out, Skiff.
Honestly, I think any straight hit should be able to take simpLe out. Oh, okay, I was almost correct. The next one. The next one for sure. 100%.
There it is.
There we go. Both of them losing stocks at the same time here. We got the double knockout as we get into the final stocks here for the red team. But blue team really isn't that far ahead. Honestly, they could definitely find a way to really close this one out. Like, if you could put all the pressure on the Fiend, continue to build up that damage, get some of those combos going, you force a very favorable 2v1.
Oh, I completely agree. And because of that, Fiend is ejecting themselves out of the battle, allowing Yuz to take a little bit more damage to even up with everybody else. Again, that high defense going to be coming into play so much, and Fiend now racking up that damage, trying to protect Yuz, but also staying out of the battle.
And we got double sword here for red team now. This is where a lot of damage, a lot of craziness can start happening, but hysen starting to take more damage as the game goes on. Now you're in the red, and you don't want to be in that position. The axe coming through, but simpLe coming through with the support, the defense to keep their teammate alive, and misses the sig in the process.
Fiend can't be off stage. Oh no, cannot be off stage, and there they are again. hysen trying to find every sort of counter correction. Fiend has no recovery options other than the ground pound against them.
Look at that.
One more try.
Yuz is just trying to keep their teammate alive and just unfortunate not able to do it. Oh, this is not looking good for blue team all of a sudden. But I mean, honestly, a couple strong hits and you could close this out because simpLe and hysen are both very, very red. And that's one of them right there.
This is the closest game we've had so far. Well, that was very close.
We're still going though. It's not over yet. Okay. As we get into the red here, and hysen's still alive. Oh my goodness, let's see what's gonna happen here. Against the swing and gonna be able to close that all out. Amazingly played from the blue team. I don't know how they did it, but man, Yuz he is that guy, let me tell you.
They were just trying to scare us, make our heart stop for a second. Anticipation coming through. I love
like that. I didn't like that.
No? Well, I guess you're going to have to anticipate the next one. But that being said, I mean, I love the way Fiend and Yuz played the second half of of those stocks. They were able, again, to play off of each other well. Fiend purposely ejected themselves out of the battle to ensure Yuz, you know, for lack of a better way of putting it, you can take all the damage Use. It's fine. But, I mean, Use does have that extra defense. But that being said, just being able to eject themselves, they did have that stock lead and ensure that they could all even up for that final stock battle. That was the play that allowed Blue Team to win this out and tie up the series. That being said, hysen and simpLe, they don't have to, but I would not be surprised if we do see a legend swap here.
I mean, I don't think it's too bad for them right now.
No.
I think they're playing well. But, you know, having like 2 swords and then one of them being a gauntlet, I mean, that might be a bit of an issue. You probably want something a little more flowy. Honestly, I feel like an axe would really just turn things around for them. I mean, look how it's working out here for Use. 513 damage on that thing. Woo!
Well, what I'm thinking is you need something to really shut down Use here. If Use continues on the Barraza pick, hysen and simpLe have some of the most notable legends in the entire game since the dawn of history again. Val, Hattori, always used. And that's great. But again, you have to find a way to target Use to ensure Fiend can't go for that same strat again. That worked so well. I promise you, Use and Fiend are going to try that for the next game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them for it because it worked out so well here. I bet you really got to hand it to Use, though, with the way that they've been playing.
Oh, yes.
I mean, just being able to kind of, in a 2v1 scenario, being able to clutch that out, that's always a feel-good moment for your team. But here we go. First time we're seeing this stage today, too. This stage is always so pretty. I like the colors, you know.
Oh, and you know what? I thought about it, and I should have said that instead of simpLe in hysen. There was a legend swap, and it's the Wushang, the Reno pick, now from Fiend. This is so good. Now you have a spear of your own to work with. You have the gauntlets there that can test directly against hysen. This should be a lot more of an aggressive battle from the blue team.
All right, but as we see here, trying to battle each other back and forth. Nobody taking a real strong position. Use is in the red, right? But, you know, with Barraza, it's not too much of a hassle, not too much of a worry quite yet.
Not quite yet. Not a whole lot's happened in this beginning. Well, up until now, Use loses that first stock, and suddenly, simpLe and hysen are playing a different game. They're targeting Use a lot more, and because of that, the trickling damage is affecting Fiend. And now there's a full stock lead, full simpLe and hysen. Things aren't looking too bad for this first half.
And there we go, trying to get both of them back on stage. hysen is going to get sent right back off, though. And Fiend, all right, just going to let hysen kind of thread the needle through here. And they are, you could definitely see it, they are trying to target down Use as best as they can. And honestly, I feel like it's working. You're kind of just keeping Fiend as a non-factor here. You're still getting the stocks out of him, right? Oh, they were charging that. They were hoping.
That was such a good play from Fiend there. Just being able to eject around, being able to find that spacing to go for that quick recovery that no one expected. Beautiful play. But now all the eyes are on simpLe. simpLe still hasn't lost a stock yet. And if simpLe can play around that spacing game like we had seen in game number 1, that it's going to be a game over relatively soon.
Okay, and as they continue to kind of battle back and forth here, though, I mean, simpLe still holding on to the stock, looking a lot like that shades of game 1 here to staying alive, and we're almost hitting that 2-minute mark. You're still not losing this? How heavy did you say this character was again?
It's a long game. It's a long game so far. Ground pounds. But simpLe's not even playing like back. They are playing just as aggressive as if they'd just gotten their first stock back. Use is now down to 1, and Fiend is not too far behind. A road there does take down simpLe, but now again, the eyes on Fiend. Well, not for much longer.
Oh, jeez, this is not looking too good. I mean, you got 4 stocks to 2 at the moment. hysen is in a little bit of the red, so you know it's not a terrible thing, and these are fresh stocks for Use and Fiend. But of course, the more I say that, the more damage that Use takes over time, starting to get into that yellow.
Oh, and again, that conditioning factor. Use is being brought over towards the ledge based on simpLe's positioning, but it's not working. Use is back onto the stage, the neutral game back in their favor for the blue team, but Use is racking up that damage again. A full stock lead for both the red team. hysen is just trying to evade around, keeping that stock alive. Let simpLe rack up the damage.
Man, trying to find a way back onto the stage. There we go. I like the sig, but you find one on hysen. You know what? hysen was in a pretty dark red at that point. But Use and Fiend, they just really weren't able to get any sort of team pressure onto simpLe in that scenario. And I feel like you definitely lost, you know, quite a bit of momentum. You could have continued to push there. Almost taking another stock, but Use is gone. And now we got a 2v1 scenario. We saw Use do it last game. Can Fiend get it done now? We'll see.
Oh, Fiend. Playing a dangerous game again. Jellyfish coming through, the double sword into the signature. What a great way to end it all and break the tie. It's back to simpLe and hysen taking the lead again. But you know what? All of these matches have been 50-50s. Sure, there has been that late game adaptation. I'm a nerd for that stuff. But all all of these games, whether it be the start or the finish, there's that pinnacle moment where it's directly even. And it's that one factor that twists around, that one factor that changes away and brings it into the favor of one team or another. I'm being purposely vague because I guarantee this, well, I can't guarantee you anything. You know the script, I don't. But this could easily go to Game 5.
This could. Spoiler alert, it won't. And why?
Skip.
Because, man, the way that hysen and simpLe played that game, after dropping last game, they were dominant game 1, right? Dropped game 2 in a position that they could have had, right, in a 2v1 scenario. They were mad. And then we got into game 3, and you just look at the domination here. It is a completely different game altogether. Look at simpLe's spear damage output. That's crazy to look at. And then you got hysen going much more even across the board here. We're going to be going right back into this map. And let me tell you, man, I'm thinking this is done. They were playing angry, they were playing with a purpose, and they were not happy about game 2 at all.
I'm going to be a Debbie Downer, Skip. I don't like this legend swap to the Bryn. I like the weapons, don't get me wrong, but Yu's Barraza was so effective in those first 2 games, and it was effective in the last game too. It didn't have as much of an appearance, but I don't know if swapping away was necessarily the answer. Fiend actually swaps away as well, back to their original pick that we had seen before the Wushang. I don't agree with either of those.
So what I'm saying here, what I'm seeing
It's
is...
cover picks.
It's not just that, it's the fact that you are literally facing elimination from doubles right now. This is your potential last game in the doubles bracket, so you kind of have to go for some pretty brave plays. Oh, this is winners? I thought this was elimination side of bracket. Excuse me, everybody. I am sometimes stupid. But as we get into this, you don't want to just go to elimination bracket, so they're probably just trying to go for something like, look, they were absolutely dominant. We need to change something up because this was not working before.
But you know what? I think we were both wrong because Yuz is putting in the work right now, finding so much impact off of this spear that it's really stuffing hysen out and stalling them completely. They're not able to find the impact that they were looking for with the sword. Now, the gauntlets could be a different story. We haven't seen that too much yet. But the fact that hysen throws the gauntlets away, picks up the sword to try to contest against Fiend again, yes! Finally finds that revenge, takes down Yuz, and Fiend goes down too. I don't know, maybe we're back to square one.
I mean, hey, simpLe's kind of holding on to his stock still. When he's playing like this, it just looks good. Of course, I said something, and it's gone. We are even across the board here. hysen in a little bit of that yellow, but you're staying elusive, and that's exactly what you need to do in those types of scenarios. You don't want to get caught up in the 2v1 while your opponent, or excuse me, your partner is coming back to the stage.
Now, you might be expecting me to say the final stock's the most important, but I disagree. This next stock, whoever loses it, could very well determine how the rest of this set goes. If Fiend goes down, Yuz has to make all that damage, but it's a group fight everywhere you go. Individual 1v1s, the chaos battle goes by, off stage, on stage, it's everywhere, nowhere, all at once. But up into the sky, hysen finds the dare, back down is Fiend, missing the sig, and now simpLe has a great setup, allowed by hysen to send Yuz into the air, but it only does so much.
Oh, okay.
hysen survives!
Somehow, some way, still living here, and simpLe getting back onto the stage as well, splitting up the blue team. Oh, look for a way to close it out. hysen decides, I got to get back down to the stage. I don't want to deal with the rest of this mess. simpLe too. Oh my goodness, but now, Fiend off stage. Okay, almost.
hysen!
This is scary, man. Super
Literal tightrope action, but both of them go down! Fiend and Yuz, a breath of fresh air coming through. If they can keep the second stock alive, they can bring it to Game 5.
Yeah, but listen, you got to keep in mind, I already gave you the spoilers, man. As we see that stock disappear, Yuz also in a little bit of trouble. hysen trying to find a way to close it out, but simpLe says, I got you, buddy, don't worry about it.
It's even again. It could go any way. Yuz and Fiend, the grounded control skip. hysen sent to the air, so heavily lit on that damage, but it only does so much. Yuz is playing a dangerous game, and so is Fiend. They're separated out, and they're trying to avoid simpLe.
Oh, you could definitely see the pressure here right now. We are seeing whiffs all over the place because they are just pressing buttons, kind of hoping here, but what a nice little combo on simpLe just to get a little bit of damage built up here. And red team almost getting into the red, but hysen, oh man, they were looking for a way to eliminate Yuz by any means necessary.
simpLe's punish game unbelievably strong. Fiend trying to find the setups and not able to connect. simpLe is so lit and so is hysen Yuz, only by a few shades. The Panto, it's so indescribable. hysen goes down, it's up to simpLe.
And simpLe is gotta find a way back to stage here. Does get back on just a little bit longer, but the weapon toss, beautifully played here. Yuz, look at
Yuz!
Get baited! Young Queen. Oh my God, they do find a way to close it out. And before we get into my wrong prediction, my wrong spoiler, I do want to say that I lie sometimes.
Right, okay. My favorite superpowers, all the superpowers. I see your game.
My superpower is lying, and that's why I wanted to keep the suspense here. I wanted everybody to be like, that's obviously not going to happen, and I gave the crowd what they wanted as we get into another Game 5 here. My ego is huge.
Your caster's cursing is next level.
Hey.
That's not even World Championship level, that's universal level.
Thank you. Thank you. I have gone to other universes to cast other multiple games, including Brawlhalla. You guys have no idea what you're in store for when we do finally, you know, get extraterrestrial life.
World-class liar. I see how it is. All right, let's talk about that last game.
Yes.
Because that second and last stock were some of those pivotal stocks, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised we could say out of BCX as a whole, because that determines so many different factors, and each, yes, thank you, announcer, Game 5. But that being said, they played, on the individual level, everyone played so well, and there is a change. Ooh, this is the Mirage pick. The Scythe making its first appearance, I think, for us casting today. This is an interesting choice, and I understand it. hysen was struggling to find impact with those gauntlets. The Scythe now controlling where Yuzu goes on that command. Beautiful work, and I see the long con, but the damage, the trickling that needs to come through. Yuz is already being conditioned off the stage and struggling to get back on. simpLe keeping everybody back. It's a juggling game between both teams.
Yeah, this is definitely a little bit scary here, but as we can see, both of them getting some combos going, but simpLe trying to go for his signature, just was not able to get the hit they needed, but Fiend almost closing it out, man. And you can even see, hysen was getting in there just like, I have to break up this combo, and almost, I mean, they weren't even able to break it up, but thankfully, their partner didn't lose that stock. But, hey, I'll trade you one, but I'll take one back, and hysen looking for a way back here, but Fiend closes it out. Beautifully played.
Can I say it again?
Go ahead.
Holy moly! Unbelievable from Fiend!
Absolutely some crazy stuff right now, and Fiend is playing on fire. Absolutely incredible stuff, and almost taking another stock in the process.
And Fiend, right now, at times having a little bit of a, I wouldn't say underperforming game, but definitely being a little bit more quieter, having so much impact here on Game 5, doing such a good job now, holding down the line. This Mirage pick from hysen's truly being tested, Skiff. So heavily lit, less damage than the Val, can't be as aggressive as before, but hysen playing no different.
I mean, Fiend just losing their first stock as well. I mean, it's still relatively even across the board, but as you can see, that damage starting to get built up on Fiend, but not without them taking another stock off of hysen. A beautiful knockout, and simpLe going down as well. This is not looking good for the red team, but Brazil is celebrating for sure.
This advantage is gigantic for Fiend and Yuz, and you're right, and for Brazil as a whole. Fiend needed to keep that stock alive, needed it to keep alive, and now it's completely even across the board for what could very well be, well, it has to be the final stock of this set.
Oh man, okay, I saw the blue team, they were doing really well, they had a nice little lead, but all of a sudden we're in last stocks everywhere, and red team is getting these combos like crazy, putting down this damage. We got spears all over the place in one axe, but then, oh, now everybody's got a spear now.
There's a lot lack of a team play here for red team. Each playing their own individual game, racking up that damage once again against Fiend and Yuz, sending each other off the stage once more. The double spear versus spear in the neutral game. It's a controlling factor. simpLe trying to do the same off the nairs, finding Fiend. Can I switch to a new weapon and Fiend goes down? It's up to Yuz to save the day.
Oh, and okay, he does find a hit on the simpLe, but simpLe finds a way back, and now we got a 1v1 scenario. It's Yuz versus simpLe. simpLe does have a little bit of a lead in terms of damage, but that sword packing on a nice little bit of percentage. And let's see what happens here. Yuz on the wall, and you got to be careful. You only have so much wall to dance with, and that is going to be it as we see simpLe clutch it out, man. And oh my goodness, look at simpLe, man. Look at them. They're celebrating. They are so excited.
Oh, literally. We say this a lot figuratively, but I mean it literally. That took my breath away. Game 5 to the very final hit between the last two alive in a 2v2. Half the team's gone completely. My God, I mean, unbelievable. That has to be one of the closest games we'll see in this whole tournament.
100%. That was absolutely insane from start to finish. And I mean, you really got to hand it to simpLe and hysen, because if I remember correctly, this is actually an upset in doubles. But this is actually insane. So that's why you probably saw a little bit of celebration at the end there, because they were so ecstatic about their game plan, about how they played. That game was insane, by the way.
Yes, all of them. All of them.
Is a beast.
I mean, unbelievable. And, you know, I want to go back to what I originally said about the predictions, how we weren't really too sure. It's kind of a 50-50. It literally did come down to a 50-50.
Let's be honest.
Game 5, 1v1, down to a hit. That's as even as you could possibly get in a series.
I did misread the script earlier, by the way. It's supposed to be
an older
3-2.
version.
Yeah, it was an older version. We changed some things up here a little bit. It's supposed to be a 3-2.
Many
victory.
rewrites.
But yeah, honestly, you really got to hand it to simpLe and hysen. Script or not, they played incredible. They definitely made everybody here a believer that they can definitely go so much further in this bracket, man. Wow.
And
dude,
remember,
that last game was insane.
We're early on in BCX too. This is a team to keep an eye on, even individual players to keep an eye on for the rest of BCX. Fusion Fiend completely shattered every expectation, probably every prediction that anyone could have thought of. Fusion Fiend dominated the day, and I have to say, I'm super impressed with them.
Yeah, no, honestly, you really got to hand it to them. And honestly, the SIG usage between both teams was incredibly accurate, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 45, I think, on red teams, or blue teams, excuse me, and then red teams had 50% in that last game there. So honestly, just beautifully played across the board. But wow, I mean, we're getting into the end game for doubles here, right?
Yes.
But man, we're still so far away from the finals and just top 8 in general, which I believe is going to still be tomorrow. But man, I hope you guys are enjoying this, because we are losing our minds out here right now.
I mean, I'm just like animating them all over the place when we're actually in game.